It's been delayed by 2 minutes, possibly the fact that Kevin Astor was late in, and therefore the track wasn't closed until then. However, there is Tom Blanc down the pit lane. So the Ferrari heading down the pit road. It looks quite bright at La Source. It looks pretty gloomy looking in other directions around Spa. But Blomqvist will be the first one to go. He's won the event before, and this Ferrari, nice slippery shape that should certainly work on the climb up towards Les Combes, cutting through the air.
I mean, I think the 488 Ferrari is a turbocharged motor. It's just a race car. Again, in the sense of a mid-engined, rear-engined race car, that is very kind to its drivers. It's the reason why it's the most popular brand, primarily amongst the AMs that compete here or even in Pro-Am categories. It's a car that helps the driver rather than actually sometimes you think works against a driver.
Well, there is Tom Blomqvist making his way down the pit lane, so it'll be potentially the second lap that is going to be the quicker of the two. But it doesn't always follow, because sometimes the driver pushes on so hard that they make a mistake. But we are in business then. The Hubauto Racing Ferrari accelerates out of the pit lane, and Tom Blomqvist now accelerates, getting everything up to temperature, John.
Yeah, he's going to go hard on this out lap. Unlike if this was a dry session on a brand new set of Pirelli slicks, you may not want to push. I mean, certainly not the first part of the out lap. You may push as you come into the third sector. But on these wet weather tyres, he will want to run as quickly as he can. So then when he comes up to take the first flying lap, he is confident that the Pirelli wets are at the operating temperature they need to be to get the best out of it. I mean, the track looks actually not bad, but it's wet. I mean, it's still, there's a degree of moisture. It's not dry enough for anybody to be brave enough to look at slicks. But as I say that, I wonder, will anybody roll the dice towards the end of the session? I can't see it, but sometimes teams will take that opportunity.
Well, the worst you could do is end up 20th, isn't it? So it's not like you're going to be at the back of the 50-plus grid. You would only be 20th. You'd be slowest within this session. Out next goes Julian Andlauer in the Rover Racing Porsche. So remember, it is 1 minute intervals, each car released, and the driver has a very simple task on that outlap. Get the tyres nice and warm, get confident in the car, get confident in the grit offered up to you by the circuit.
Yeah, Julian Andlauer came out of the pit lane very hot indeed. In fact, he went over the demarcation line, which probably would be a bit of a no. Certainly in a race it would be. Whether it would be observed in this shootout's another matter. But he pushed very hard, certainly harder than Tom Blomqvist did.
I would go along with that. Shows the commitment. Yes, we'll wait and see what the stewards feel about it. There is Tom Blomqvist building up for the quick lap. So it's got to start here, hasn't it, John? A good run through Blanchimont into the bus stop and then to start the lap.
Yes, this is where you're going to gain your confidence, being able to get through Blanchimont at a good lick, and then the run up into this big braking as you come up into turn 17 and 18. Now, he may use a slightly unusual entry line. He's hugging the curb. He goes very far. That sudden cutback. Now, in a race, you probably wouldn't do that. But on a qualifying lap, you want to straighten the car up to get across start-finish line at the best maximum speed you're going to do. That's why Tom Blomqvist took that particular line.
And this is the quietest the track will be for anybody really over the weekend. Every other session you've got cars around you, and here Blomqvist in splendid isolation with the road to himself comes past the second part of the pit lane, the heritage pits, the endurance pits, the old pits, call them what you will, down towards Eau Rouge, rides the curb, flicks it right up through Radion now, and he's on it, John.
Yes, he was slightly off the apex, but I don't think that's a big issue. Maybe just the front tyre didn't quite give him the bite at the point when he turned the steering wheel. Got a good exit out of Radio all the way up now. The long Camel straight getting up to, well, in these conditions, probably around about 260 or so kilometres per hour. Then the big break into Les Combes. Careful not to outbrake yourself. Easy thing to do. As much as you want to get your tyre up to tyre temperature, you need to have had your brakes likewise up to brake temperature before you get on the brakes with a big stop into Les Combes.
Down to Bruxelles comes Tom Blomqvist. Remember, as we go through these laps, purples are what counts. Now, obviously, it will be purple for Blomqvist because there's nobody else to gauge him against. But subsequently, if it's purple, it's worth getting excited about. Out of Speaker's Corner, way out wide, onto that runoff area. They're all at it. That's almost the new racing line. Gravel traps are set to be put back in to certain areas of Spa for next year. So it's all going to be a bit different when we're back here in under 12 months' time. But right now, Blomqvist out of Pont, over the curb, down to the pit path.
Yeah, he looked a little bit, I would say, conservative as he went into Pujol. I think he might have gone down even a gear. I thought I heard the blip on the change down, and certainly on the exit was fine, but maybe just being a little bit cautious, conservative on this first flying lap, just to get a sense of where the car is, and maybe just building for that second flying lap when he can just deliver all the potential he has, and that his Ferraris.
So this is Tom Blomqvist then, and he's going to be the first driver to set a time. Remember, you get 2 laps, so towards the end of the session, it's going to be a case of really looking at the cars firing out of the bus stop to see where they blend in. But Blomqvist using all of the road and then some. Comes out of Blanchimont now through the little right-hand kink that takes you to the bus stop. The car starts to quiver a little bit under braking as he hunts for the grip way up the curve. Tries to take another couple of inches out of the lap length. Here he is, out of the bus stop, over the curb. Rattles back onto the racetrack. What is this flying lap going to be? A 2:34.273 is the answer. That is the benchmark time.
Yeah, so that's a fairly good, I think, opening lap for Tom Blomqvist. He was hugging the right-hand side of the